Westworld is a fun show with a lot of good ideas that constantly undermines itself. For the unaware, Westworld is about a futuristic amusement park set in the Old West that allows guests to do basically whatever they want because most of the people here are actually robots. The show relies on the very real terror that one day soon humanity might invent a brain that's better than ours. Realism is the selling point of Westworld, so the robotic hosts need to be more and more sophisticated to entrance the guests. So the question is, have we pushed things too far and made something that is out of our control? Or is it? Most of the show's runtime, some might say all of the show's runtime, is told from the host's point of view. Much of the drama that unfolds requires you to sympathize with these beings that we know aren't real. It does succeed in this a little bit. We humans are, after all, programmed with some baseline empathy toward other humans, and when we see something with the human form, it's gonna cause some sort of reaction. But we know better. In the back of our minds, we know the situation isn't much different than, say, Grand Theft Auto. These violent desires have violent ends. Who knows? Maybe a life of murder and things in video games has desensitized me to this, or given me a clearer head about what deserves moral consideration. The illusions depicted in Westworld are many orders of magnitude more convincing than the ones we have now. But the show goes out of its way early on to make us understand that their humanity is just a sophisticated illusion. The crazy thing is, I know I can care about robots, even when reminded that their decisions aren't their own. The trick with robot characters is to let people forget about their disposition while they form a connection to it, only reminding the audience occasionally about the reality of the situation.
Sir, I volunteer for a suicide mission! Cut it out!
But Westworld drives the point home so early and so often that even though they look human, you can't care about them at all, except that you are meant to. One of the themes of the show is the emergence of consciousness, how it may have happened in humans by way of an obscure theory that was cool to look up more about, and whether or not it has happened in these robots. I got the vibe that we are meant to root for them to overcome their foolish masters. Except we're the masters, and now we've come round full circle to the terrifying specter of AI. Maybe the next Jurassic Park movie should be told from the point of view of the dinosaurs. That's what I mean when I say the show's undermining itself. This part fucks over that part, which is fucking over this part, and so on. I'd call it an orgy of destruction if that wasn't such an on-the-nose metaphor for the park. I guess I do have to give them credit for not doing what was expected and keeping me on my toes. The human characters were not the focus of the show, mainly serving to show the plight of the robots and to delve into the history of the park along with its possible future. Hopkins' character, Robert Ford, was always fun to have on screen. There were several times that I wished the show was just him talking to people, and one or two of the other characters might have had a pretty good arc, I guess. If you didn't know, the show is based on a movie that came out in 1973. Just to put that into perspective, that's the year Pong was taking over the world and starting off the first big video game boom. But the really cool thing is that since that movie came out, worlds very much like the ones depicted in Westworld have been made in the form of video games. From the time it was first ever even possible till now, big-ass open world games have always been a popular type of game. This Westworld had a chance to comment on the advancement of games, and who'd have thought it actually does a little bit. It touches on the need to continually innovate to fight against diminishing returns, both in the storylines that the hosts take the guests through, but also realism if you could believe it. The reverie code that causes a few problems here and there was originally designed to make the robots appear more lifelike. Good to know that even when we have robots that are indistinguishable from humans, people will still be bitching about graphics. Hey Delos, you got a Toon World in the works? At least the graphics there will stand the test of time. There's even some well-hidden end-game content, and one guy out there looking for it. The man in black is uninterested with the many perversions of Westworld. He's experienced them all. Instead, he's obsessed with finding some deeper meaning in the park left there by its creators. And he's basically such a cool dude that he saves the show. His quest is the one thing that you could really latch onto and care about. I love the way he brightens up whenever he finds out something new about the park. It's like he just unlocked an achievement.
You never told me you had a family.
Papa!
That's what I love about this place. You know, the secrets. All the little things I never noticed.
He's just so invested in what he's doing. Like everything else in the show, it tries to undermine his character by portraying him as the villain long after it's clear he's the coolest guy. The reason I think they did this is to pay homage to the gunslinger character from the original movie. Later on, the show basically reconfigures itself so that the whole thing is a character study of him. But we're edging into spoiler territory now, so if you don't want to know which of these people actually turns out to be a robot, turn off the video now. We mainly experience the story through the eyes of 3 robots, so let's look at their stories. Who's up first? Any, Mini, Miny, Mo? Well, someone's gonna have to clean up all the mess. Bernard is the secret robot. After the reveal happens, he becomes pretty boring. It might be neat on a second viewing, watching his actions, knowing that he's an extension of Robert's will. Maeve is a big red herring. At the end of the season, it is revealed that her rise to power was all pre-programmed. Dolores, however, is apparently the real deal. But I'm not even sure about that. Great way to show choice, guys. Have her do exactly what Ford wanted, at exactly the time he wanted her to do it. After Dolores kills Ford, all the robots go crazy and all the human characters that we've known up to this point seem to die. Here's hoping William made it out of there, and why not? He's a capable dude. Otherwise, season 2 will have almost nothing to look forward to. The show could finally capitalize on the source material and follow some few survivors as they desperately try to escape the park, but it's hard to imagine that continuing to be interesting for an entire season. All in all, I didn't hate Westworld, but it could have been way better. Thanks for wasting some time with me. Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer true. I'm half crazy, all for the love of you. It won't be a stylish marriage. I can't afford a carriage, but you'll look sweet upon the seat of a bicycle built for 2.